Hello, I'm Paul.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome to the Film Busters podcast. The film show with no filters, no prisoners taken, loads of disagreements, but one hell of a love for cinema.
If you want to hear three friends ridiculing each other for an hour or so regarding their taste in films, then you have come to the right place.
In each episode, one of the team picks a film for us to discuss. It could be anything from a recent cinema release to an all-time classic.
So, strap in and get ready to get mad or get vindicated as we guide you through the murky world of being a film geek.
If you like what you hear, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram using @FilmbustersPod. You can also find each of our individual accounts. I'm at Filmbusters Paul.
I'm at Filmbusters Adam.
And I'm at Filmbusters Ben.
If you want to use your eyes instead of your ears, you can also visit the website at filmbusters.pod.co.uk.
And if busting makes you feel good, you can also support us at patreon.com/filmbusters for exclusive content.
Alright, can we just get on with this now, please?
Filmbusters. Do you know what's something I hate about on albums, right? Where a song like fades out and then the music fades back in again.
Yeah.
I hate that in songs. It's like, why are you doing that?
No, they're trying to
I
trick
don't think
you.
a fade is always a good ending to a song.
Yeah.
I think good songs always end with like a bit of a bang rather than just repeating it and then they just fade it down.
Yeah.
It's like you don't know how to end a film.
How do you feel about hidden tracks?
They just
They
don't
haven't- no one
happen
does
nowadays, though, do
If I
they?
say,
I know.
no one does
CDs,
them anymore.
I used to listen to a band called Him, right? And they
I remember him.
they had an album and it had loads of blank tracks and it had to go all the way up to 66 because it was like 666.
Oh,
And
very
then
good.
the secret track played.
Very good.
Was it even any good?
I can't remember.
I remember My Chemical Romance had one. This when you put a CD on and just let it play, so you didn't have to like search through songs or like.
You couldn't hide them on Spotify now. Although, what would happen if you looked for that album on Spotify now, Paul? They'd probably just have it as the next track.
That'd be interesting. Let me have a look. Let's see if they.
Or one of the songs would just be super long.
The album is called Greatest Love Songs Volume 666,
Right.
and it's got it's called Hidden Track. The last
Oh,
song.
there you go. Straight onto it.
Yeah. Not very hidden anymore, is it?
No.
Well, anyway, Adam, you're back. You're back
I
on
am
the
back.
podcast. It's so
I am.
nice.
Especially for a proper episode. I mean, I made a brief appearance on the Patreon on the end of month wrap up.
Yes.
Well, the end of double month wrap up in the end, it turned out to be. So yeah, I have been around. I just haven't been here for the main one to the normal people. You have to pay the good money to listen to me.
Everyone's mad. Everyone is mad that you haven't
Fuming.
been around. They wanted the Film Busters and they got like...
I know. We had to literally do this for national security. Like, we had to squeeze us in, otherwise it was going to get a bit...
People would riot, mate.
It was getting a bit... Tensions were rising out there.
People have been able to understand what films are about nowadays. Like the plot summary of films. They've been able to understand what's actually going on. Like,
And they're like, we
that's just
don't
not
want to
go-
understand.
That's
I've
no
only just
good.
remembered I've got to do a fucking plot summary for this film, and I've just thought in my head, like, fuck, how am I going to do this?
Every time.
It's good to
fail,
have
you
you
forget.
back, though, Adam. Where have you
Yeah,
been? Where have you
I
been
can
all
actually
this time
I can actually
working?
stand up for myself now, after you two assassinated me so much, because you thought I wasn't going to listen.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
did.
Yeah. Also, you said I was the host of the quiz when I wasn't. You were the host of the
I
quiz,
know,
Paul.
I totally forgot. It's been that long. I thought it was still last year. What's going on? I'm the host.
Everything's been all over the fucking place.
And it has the chip shop, as Adam would say.
We'll get a rhythm for like a week, and then Paul goes on holiday.
Well, this is our chance now, boys. Listen, we're starting a new year. This is 1978.
Hell yeah.
And this is our chance to bring this ship back and steady her course through troubled waters. Let's get her going steady so that people can admire our vessel
bloody do
as
it.
it sails through in the glinting
Steady
as
Eddie.
sunlight glints off its steel rims and beams, romping in the fins and
wonderful.
swinnies, and we're enjoying the journey of 1978.
You scallywag.
We just stopped the capsizing, and now we're ready to set sail.
Yeah. And look
Oh, look at all
over there.
these
Look over there.
metaphors.
Look to the starboard. There's some new passengers who want to board this good ship. So since they don't know where this ship's been, maybe we should make it clear that this ship is about to travel through several films in 1978. We've been given a film from 1978 from one of our lovely patrons. And for those of you who don't know, patrons are listeners who very much like us and pay a little bit of money to do other things.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, we want you to do a film from 1978, which means we're going to do a bunch of films from 1978 over the next few episodes. So if this is your first one...
Have you guys got your films yet?
No. When do we ever?
I've got mine, obviously, because I need to tell you in the episode.
That's true. Paul's got his.
So a patron has suggested this film. We haven't even said what film we're doing. We're doing Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and it has been suggested by, do you know, Adam, do you remember who suggested this film?
I want to say it's Jamie.
Yes, it's Mr. Jamie Russell, Mr. Teach himself.
It sounds like a Jamie film.
It's JR.
Yeah.
JR.
Mr. Movie Duelist himself has come over from the Movie Duel podcast and said, hey boys, I want you to cover Invasion of the Body Snatchers. None of us have seen it. And it's his right as a patron to do this, because if you want to become a patron and have those exact rights, you can at www.patreon.com/filmbusters, and you can suggest films, you can get bonus episodes, you can come on the bloody show. It's so wonderful over there. We've actually just recorded a patron episode. It was a bit of an on-the-fly one, and it's just a bit of a catch-up, isn't it?
Just catching up.
Yeah.
Just catching up, doing some real talk for our real fans.
Absolute real talk at its best, I think.
Real champagne for my real friends and real pain for my sham friends.
Wow, look at that. Look at that.
Nas over here.
Beautiful.
There you go. There you go. I'll keep them coming if you want.
Do we want to move on to 1978, Ben?
Yes, I'll do the 1978 overview, and then we'll have our little quiz, I suppose, after that.
Yes, let's do that.
All right, you ready for some stuff that happened in 1978? We're travelling through time. We're going 17 years into the past? Yes. No, where did we just come from? 95? 96?
96, yeah.
18 years. We're going to throw back 18 years in the past. To the year of Halloween. John Carpenter's Halloween. Will it get its time in the sun? Who knows? Who knows? Possibly not. You ready for some 78s?
Tell us.
Well, you know that cult leader, Jim Jones?
Yeah.
He took all of his people out to Jonestown and they did the mass suicide.
Oh, shit.
With the Kool-Aid. Yes. Not 900 plus members of his church, the People's Temple, committed suicide en masse in Guyana.
Nuts.
Would you believe it? The United States, or NASA I should say, unveiled the first group of female astronauts that year. The first women astronauts. I don't know if that's true actually for the world, but it was the first US ones.
It's all that matters. It's all that matters, apparently.
Yep, the US is the world. That's why they have the World Series. The first solo expedition to the North Pole was completed. A Japanese explorer, Naomi Umura, became the first person to reach the North Pole. There you go. Very impressive. And what about this one? What about this one? The UK. It is a big one for the UK. This isn't significant. The world's first human conceived through IVF, otherwise known as the first test tube baby, Louise Brown, born in the UK. July 25th. Could you believe it? You couldn't make it up.
Wonderful stuff.
You couldn't make it up. What about this? Garfield suddenly appeared to us. Garfield! He rocked up, and the comics were there.
1978, yeah?
Yeah, there he was. The cartoon cat, and you know what he likes to eat, the cartoon cat?
Pizza.
Tuna.
No. Come on, what did Garfield like to eat?
Tuna on pizza.
Dearie me, he loved lasagna.
After
nearly 30 years, the Volkswagen Beetle stopped production, having manufactured 20 million cars. Check this one out. They were very conscious, environmentally conscious. Sweden became the first country to ban aerosol sprays because they were thought to damage the Earth's protective ozone layer. Serial killer David Berkowitz, otherwise known as the son of Sam, was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. Roman Polanski fled to France hours before he was to be formally sentenced for rape and other charges against a minor. He's still out there, I believe. He didn't come back, did he?
No, never.
45 years ago, for fuck's sake.
Crazy.
The musical world said goodbye to Keith Moon, Jacques Brel, and, most notoriously of all, Nancy Spungen, who was stabbed to death in a Chelsea hotel in New York by who, Adam?
Don't know.
Where's your music knowledge? Sid Vicious. Sid
yeah.
Vicious. You want to know who was dominating the charts? You want to know who's dominating the charts? Who's dominating the charts in 1978?
John Lennon.
The Bee Gees. The Bee Gees. They were dominating the charts. And why do you think they were dominating the charts in 1978?
They're staying alive.
Yeah, but connect that to what had come out.
Oh, Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
They were running the mill. And the other big hitters at the time were Boney M, Paul McCartney, Kate Bush.
Running up that hill.
Yeah.
Running up the hill.
And the Sex Pistols played their last ever gig together that year as well.
A lot going on.
That was
There's a
1978.
lot going on. Wonderful stuff.
Hurt my throat getting excited about all that
You
stuff.
did. You were getting very excited.
I'm going to have some water.
Thank you, Ben. We should move on to the staple of every episode.
Oh, you're
As
welcome.
Adam said correctly, I am the host of the quiz this year. And we have scores of 7 for me, 5 for Adam, and 11 for Ben. Ben is steaming ahead. If anyone wants to know about the quiz, I ask Ben and Adam 2 questions. If they get them right, they get the points. If they get them wrong, I get the points. The questions are all about Invasion of the Body Snatchers today.
Ouch.
Do you want your first bloody question?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a bit of a riddle, this one, but if you know, you know.
Oh.
If a caper is not a caper, then it's a...
Plant.
Oh, a rat turd.
Yes, Ben, well done. A plant.
There's a lot of plants in this film.
A caper. It's a turd. A caper.
It's a rat turd. 12 points, Ben. Well done.
Lovely.
Next question. What was Elizabeth's, main girl in the film, what was Elizabeth's boyfriend Jeffrey's job? It was specifically mentioned.
Oh, he's fucking... They mentioned at the very beginning, didn't they?
Yeah. And, what's his name? Donald Sutherland says, are all weird.
Oh.
Yeah, he says that. No, just him. Right? Is it writers?
No, wrong.
That man was not a writer. He was going to an office block in a business suit.
No, and he goes, just he's weird, isn't he?
Oh, shit.
They're all frauds, but no.
Oh, man. Because you said that Donald Sutherland said that line, that's where I would probably
That's
get
why.
the answer button. Oh, fuck. They're all weird. Oh, fuck. I don't know. I guess real estate mogul.
Dentists. He's a dentist.
What? So why is he going to the building with a briefcase
Bloody knows.
in a
He had
suit as a dentist?
He had a nurse next to him, remember?
Yes, I do
He was
remember
walking
that
outside
now.
with a nurse. He's a bloody dentist, everyone. There you go. I get the point.
Well done.
5 to Adam,
Dentists.
8 to me, 12 to Ben.
Do you think dentists are weird?
I don't think so. They're pretty cool characters, I think. Every dentist I've met.
Well, as long as they're not hurting you up. There's some of them are psychopaths. They like to hurt you.
If they're laughing while they're drilling your teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, this prick should have brushed.
You have to be a certain way to be a dentist because it's like, I want to dedicate my life to looking directly at the teeth. The human being's teeth.
Gynecologists may be weirder.
I mean, that is... It is an interesting choice, right? To suddenly go, yeah, I want to look at this part of the lady for my profession.
For my whole life. That makes you sound weird regardless.
I know, but I know it's that's a catch-22 though, man, because we shouldn't make fun because they're also like the lifesavers for women as well. But it is like, what does happen? At what point when you're going through medical school do you suddenly go, this is the area I'm fascinated by and I want to specialise in this? And the foot, for example, foot doctors. What makes someone suddenly go, oh, the foot? Yeah, I want to specialise in the foot. Orthopedic, yeah. But why do you want to look at people's smelly feet all the time?
Like all that stuff where each part of your foot actually is a different part of your body and stuff like that is quite what's that? Reflexology?
I'm not interested in that foot.
They put a needle in it and then your arms twinge.
If you were a doctor, what part would you specialise in? Would you choose as your specialty? No silly answers.
The gut. The gut is very interesting to me.
Yeah,
I'll be a gut doctor.
And what would you advise about the gut? What would you like? What in wisdom would you like to impart about the gut?
We need to have a good gut microbiome, and we need to make sure that it really fascinates me, like if you have different gut bugs depending on how you basically are brought up. If you're vaginally birthed, right, you have like a very great amount of gut bugs in you compared to if you're circumcised, C-sectioned, come out the sunroof, and if you have like dogs, if you have pets, because you intake all these different bugs from different places basically, and it gives you this good. Having a good gut microbiome is good for your health and good against allergies because your gut bugs take care of you, man. So you should take care of them.
Mm-hmm. You've been watching that Netflix documentary?
Oh no, I watched that and I thought I already know all this shit. That's why I wasn't like really blown away by it.
Well, I know quite a bit about the gut as well, for reasons I won't go into.
So what doctors are you going to be? I know Adam's going to be a gynecologist.
I'll do the arsehole.
Interesting place.
Yeah. I just want to specialise on the arsehole, and I will make sure that all the creases are where they should be in the lead up to it and all
just
that business.
the bleaching.
No, I refuse to do bleach.
Bleaching.
That goes against my ethical standards. I won't do that at my practice.
He's a beautician now.
Yeah.
Not in my practice.
No, sorry, I said not to be silly. I would, I tell you what I would actually do. I would investigate the sweat glands, if there is such a one, to investigate the sweat glands. Because when I was growing up, I had a condition called hyperhidrosis, which meant my hands were always sweating. Always sweating.
Like clammy or sweaty?
More than clammy. It was like, it was excess sweating. And I went to the doctor and he was like, you got this hyperhidrosis. And they said, we can do two things. You can do an operation in your hand, or we can snip some things, but you have a couple of scars on your hands, and that'll stop it sweating in your hands. Or we go into your chest cavity and do an operation there, and you'll stop sweating throughout your body overall.
You'll sweat inside your body.
I know, and that's what I remember thinking. Yeah, but that's not the issue. It's just my hands. But I sort of grew out of it. But I still kind of get it. But it's a condition called hyperhidrosis, where your body just produces excess sweat in certain areas. I hated it growing up, because anytime I had to shake someone's hand or whatnot, they would always like, oh, why are your hands so sweaty? It used to bring it on.
It's like, thinking about it.
Exactly. I'll tell you what was the worst. Going to church, right? Every Sunday, there's a bit in Catholic church where about halfway through the ceremony, they go, peace be with you. And you have to start shaking hands with everyone around you. And I could feel it in the couple of minutes leading up to that bit. I'd be wiping my hands furious on my trousers, jeans. And they would just come back.
In those Bibles, those paper Bibles.
Clinging onto the page of the Bible. and then it would be so fucking embarrassing. So I would specialise in that, so I could stop other people from being embarrassed who have that.
There you go. I hate hearing you say going to church.
Oh mate, I had to. I don't anymore.
I hate it.
I don't anymore because that was so embarrassing. I said, fuck it.
That's the only reason.
Why would God put me in this position? He can't exist, surely. What's yours, Adam?
I probably would do the feet, because I got my hammer toes. I sort people out with hammer toe.
Tell us what the hammer toe is.
It's when the ligaments in your toe, your big toe, is too short, so it's kind of scrunched up on itself. It's not flat, it's kind of bent. Like if you got your thumb and you just kind of scrunch it backwards.
Yeah.
Is that like its natural position?
Yeah, it's locked in that position because the ligament is too short in your toe. So when it fused when you were younger, that's how it fused.
What does that mean for things like running and stuff?
I used to have flat feet, and then they put an insole in my shoe, and I think the insole in my shoe then had a knock-on effect to this.
Right.
That's probably why I think I got bad knees.
Your toe in.
That's why I got bad knees, I think, because it's like you don't really. When I walk, my big toe doesn't always touch the floor. Like it's the ball of them. I walk on them on the ball of my feet. Like my big toe it's kind of like hovered just off the ground sometimes. It depends. Like, if I wear shoes for a long time, then it kind of flattens out. Like, it relaxes a bit, but like when you first wake up in the morning. Yeah.
We're all learning about each other today.
Exactly.
You know, no one's going to learn about this film.
But yeah, we should probably get to the film.
We should probably learn about the film, shouldn't we? Should we move on to Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
Yeah, let's do that.
And one of the men says,
Oh, wait, you have told me this one.
oh. Can I tell it to you again? Oh my God! Oh my God! Lock the door! Lock the door!
They're coming! They're coming! Help! Help! They're coming! They're coming! Listen to me!
No, he's
Listen!
smashed out of his
Help
skull.
me! You're next, please! Please! You're next! We're in danger! Please, listen to me! Something terrible! Please! You're next! Here they are! They're already here! Come! You're next! They're coming! They're coming!
Must have done something.
Right, everyone, today we're doing Invasion of the Body Snatchers, directed by Philip Kaufman from 1978. This is a spoiler episode. If you haven't seen the film, we're going to spoil it terribly for you, so you might want to go watch it first before you come and listen to the episode. Otherwise, just have it spoiled for you. So we have a couple of people who've been in films we've done before on the podcast. Can you guess who they are?
Well, we've had Jeff.
Yeah.
Yes. 3 films.
So we've had The Fly with Jeff. We've had this is ridiculous. I can't. Deep Cover. What's
One
the
more.
third Jeff? Oh, is it The Fallen Kingdom? Jurassic
Fallen
World.
Kingdom. You've done
Right.
it. Nailed it. Bingo. There you go.
I don't believe we've had Sutherland.
You're wrong. He's the other person, Donald Sutherland. Can you remember who he was in something? It's a film that we weren't all keen on.
I feel like, I'm sure it's not, but I feel like it might be The Verdict.
No, it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Remember?
Oh shit! Yeah, of course he was. Yeah. Fucking hell, in that black hat.
Yeah. There we go. That's
Nobody
that's
else.
it.
No Leonard Nimoy.
No, that's our first Leonard.
Well, what
There you go.
about Robert Duvall?
Right, that was him, right?
It was. Yeah.
I didn't look it up afterwards, but I was like, I swear that's Robert Duvall as a priest in a swing.
He was nearby, and he'd done a film with Philip Kaufman. Kaufman had directed before, and he was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll just rock up and do this one little bit for you."
What a weird thing.
I think it was meant to indicate the beginnings of the things going weird. This priest on a swing being quite emotionless like that.
Yeah, for sure.
It was weird seeing him like that, though, because I was like, "Oh shit!" I said to Jenny, "Robert Duvall wasn't even in the opening credits. We've just seen them, and there he is right away."
Yeah, I know. It was so jarring. I thought, is it even him? And I didn't
There you
bother
go.
looking up afterwards. Is he actually in the credits? He's not even in the
No,
credits.
he's not. It's an uncredited.
Oh, yes,
cameo.
he is. Priest on swing in Letterboxd, but it says uncredited.
Yeah, he uncredited.
I'm not going to count him.
No.
So, Robert, sorry, you're not here today.
His life is over now. He's worked so hard throughout his career, and we've just ruined it.
No, that was his best role. That priest. Creepy priest. Adam,
Creepy priest.
are you ready to do your plot summary of this film?
No.
Didn't think so.
No. Try your best.
I am not going to live up to Sean's one. That was very good.
Good.
Sean, you should be honoured that he actually listened and heard.
This
exactly.
is a remake of a film, the original one. I can't remember what year the original one came out in. I think it was like the 50s, wasn't it?
56.
Okay, yeah, so it wasn't far off. And people started noticing that all of their like loved ones or friends and everyone like that, it's gone a bit weird and a little bit, they're not the same. But there's some people who are trying to investigate it, and yeah, it's all down to plants.
All down to plants.
It's all down to plants. That's the tagline right there.
That's it. Should have been.
It's all down to plants.
All down to plants.
Benny, you got some shit about this film?
Some facts. After the success of Close Encounters of the Third Kind in the previous year, this remake was commissioned. The film was actually released over the Christmas weekend of 1978. Good Christmassy watching this, I would imagine. And grossed nearly $25 million at the American box office. It was hailed as one of the greatest remakes ever at the time. And many put that down to the fact that Philip Kaufman, the director, was a huge fan of the original 1956 film. He chose to re-envision his words rather than remake the film, shooting in colour and changing the location to San Francisco. I can't even remember where the original was shot.
Did he do the original as well?
No. The original, the guy who did the original, was the taxi driver in this film.
Oh, okay. Well, at least there's a nice, like, a nod to the people who did it. It wasn't like, oh, we're just remaking your film.
No, exactly.
No, they did it kind of like...
Exactly. Well, that original director, Don Siegel, he was the taxi driver, and the lead from the 1956 film, Kevin McCarthy, has a cameo in this film as the guy who runs up to their car going, they're here, the frantic guy who then gets run over by the car.
They're here.
Which is, have you guys seen the 1956 original?
No.
I haven't, no.
The 1956 original ends with him in traffic, running, banging on cars, going, they're here, it's too late. And then he runs at the camera and looks into the camera at you, and he says, they're coming for you next. And then the film ends. So then in this film, when you see him, he's literally still doing that, which is pretty cool. The cinematographer, Michael Chapman, he had just come off Taxi Driver. So he had already been shooting cities in a very gloomy, dark way. And he tried to keep a lot of the film noir aesthetic from the original film. And he chose to light certain characters in a certain way to indicate that they were now pod people. I don't know that I always got that, though. I don't really get it from lighting. And the sound editor, Ben Burt, created an eerie ambience for the whole film, using a mix of industrial noises for things like the garbage men, and he used pig squeals for the shrieking pod people. The special effects were all created live in camera. Everything from the opening credits, which was just like this vat of goo with some strands of liquid dropped in and then pulled around, right through to the dog wearing a human face.
You can tell that was practical.
Yes, you definitely could tell that was practical. Supposedly, the twist ending was kept secret from everybody, including Donald Sutherland, until the night before he was due to perform it. And legend has it, I don't know if I believe it, his co-star in the scene, Veronica Cartwright, had no idea that that's what was going to happen when the camera started rolling, and her shock and surprise are genuine on camera. I'm not sure. Everyone says that. I'm not sure if that's true. Because I think if Donald Sutherland just did that when I was expecting him to deliver a line, I'd just laugh. Anyway.
Yeah.
And finally...
you would think there'd be two cameras as well shooting simultaneously.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Because otherwise, he would just be off camera. Would he even be there in a normal sense?
I know. Well, maybe he was for that one. You could choose to believe it if you want to believe it. And finally, Leonard Nimoy was cast because at this stage in his career, he was worried he was getting typecast. So he wanted to play a villain.
Fair enough, yeah.
Fair enough.
Right, thank you, Ben. Lovely facts there. Adam, this is Jamie's pick, so you get to decide.
Yep.
First impressions, which order do you want them?
I'll go first. You two can, and then I don't know, Ben and Paul.
Okay.
The first thing I'll say about this film is I am going to rewatch it probably tonight because I had to rush watching this film. So, and it was very much a rush to get it in, and I don't think I fully appreciated it for that reason. And it kind of took me a while to get into the film. I was just like, come home from work, put it on, watch it. And it took me like a kind of a while, almost to decompress from everything and get into this film. So the first hour is almost a bit of a blur. And I think I kind of didn't lose it, but when the tension is coming towards the end and all these reveals are starting to happen and all the little, not twists, but like, you know what I mean. Yeah. The moments are coming, you didn't really fully appreciate them. That's what I'm going to say about this film to start off with as a disclaimer. But I did enjoy this film. It's very good for its time as well. And in the film I was watching it, I was like, but we've seen stuff like this before. But then I don't know, it does have something in it that still elevates it all these years later. It's still well done. There is some very corny moments in it and some very badly, I think they're added in post, like sentences, it seems, when people are running around and like you just see someone say something, you're like, they're obviously not saying that in that moment. That sounds so added on afterwards, but that's kind of the magic of it. And I feel like this might be a theme of 78, but it felt like people were making this film because they love fucking making films. And I think that's the whole era of film of before people were doing it for lots of money. Like, there was obviously money in film, you had to make your money back. But deep down inside, you can make a film because you wanted to make fucking films and you wanted to fuck around on film sets and just do shit. That was fun. And I could see that coming across in this film. Like, the creativity was there. You weren't trying to appease anything. You're not trying to, I don't know, trying to make some studio people happy who are there to make a fucking great film. And that was evident, and that came across really well. But yeah, I am going to rewatch this film because I do feel like I need to give it the proper time of day, like settle into it and watch it. That's what I want to say.
Fair enough. I think you're probably very right with that whole thing about making movies. It was different back then, so they were making it because they wanted to, and he, like I said, he was a massive fan of the original, so it's like a fan making his own version, kind of like the guys who did the new Halloween films. They were like fans of the original. So, but
yeah, it's like you're a fan of the original and you're remaking it because I think like technology and stuff had moved on quite a bit at that time. It's in colour, whereas people now just make it because they don't think that there's money involved in it.
Well, okay, so that leads into my point, which is I have seen the original, but I can barely remember it apart from the ending, which I mentioned before. So I couldn't even tell you if this is better or worse than this. But it felt to me like, so this is a very solid sci-fi film from the 70s with a lot of interesting elements and lots of stuff that we've seen subsequently, like you said, Adam. And I'm trying to put that to one side and say, okay, the fact that I've seen it in lots of other films doesn't mean that this film isn't original and inventive, because probably at the time it was for what it was doing. But what I am struggling to get from this film is the reasons behind why it is so praised, because it's real high on Rotten Tomatoes, right? It's like up in the 90%ers, and I'm not dissing it. I'm not throwing any shade at it. But what I'm saying is, to me, it felt thoroughly like
ordinary.
Fine. Yeah, it was like, okay, that was good.
And that's why I feel like I want to rewatch it, because I kind of felt that coming out of it. I thought that was good. That's fine. And you look at the scores and you're like, fucking everyone loves it. And I can kind of see why people would love it, because the elements are there. And that's why I want to rewatch it, because I'm like, did I not actually fully appreciate this film?
Well, I think the thing that needed to happen for me in this film to elevate it, because I was enjoying the sci-fi moments, I was enjoying the fear and the paranoia and the suspicion that was sort of like all in that first hour particularly. I was enjoying that. What I needed was something to say, and this is our commentary, this is our message on the state of the world at this time, or the state of America, or what was going on in San Francisco at the time. Because in the 1956 one, that was about communism. And just like George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, those films with their zombies, the zombies represent something. I here in this film needed the pods, the bodies, to represent a threat or something that the world or America was worried about in the 70s. It's almost like an anti-vaxxer
film nowadays.
Well, it would be, yeah. I've got a note to talk about that as well. I couldn't get it from this, and I'm hoping we can discuss and maybe find something in it, but I couldn't entirely get what it was. The closest I could come to was that it was a case of people were so worried about the hippie movement having gone, which is all peace and love, and people were losing that sense and becoming more emotionless and more about their jobs, whether they're health inspector jobs or dentist jobs or whatnot, and that became their identity rather than the free love stuff. But anyway, that to one side, I liked it. I thought it was good. There was lots to like about it. I think it was too long. I think it could have been 15-20 minutes short. It could have been a tight 90-minute film. I think the performances were largely very, very good, but the one who stood out for me, the best performer, was this Veronica Cartwright, Nancy. She was the best because she was very believable all the way through it, and she was actually reacting all the time how someone would actually react in this situation. So it was all the more heartbreaking when you get to that ending. What happens. But I enjoyed it. I need to be convinced about why it is so good.
Interesting. When you were saying about giving it a reason and anti-hippie movement thing, this is almost like the opposite of Shivers. Do you know how Shivers, they become like this over-sexualized, like free love kind of monster, where there's no emotion when you get turned. Anyway,
Lack of emotions, the flip of it, yeah.
I think there was a lot to like about this film. I think most of it came down to the practical effects for me, because there's some really like wonderful stuff they do, like the whole slimy fetus looking things, the way the mouldy stuff moved, the head smashing, disintegrating body, and the opening scene as well, when this alien species is in space. It's almost like smoke, but it's also like solid, but also floating. And I was like, what even is this? I can't even work out how they did it, but it obviously looks very real. And it's like, it's just so unusual to look at and out of this world. So it worked in that sense. The score is also pretty cool. It's very like atmospheric, and it feels like the world surrounding the scene almost becomes the score itself. Like whether it be like literally the music in the room they were in, ticking clocks, like weird chimes, and any actual music, it felt like very distorted and almost like radio feedback, which was like a nice touch. I enjoyed it. There's also some really interesting camera work as well. So I especially noticed in the beginning, it's like very, very strange camera work. It's like while we're in like the corridors and we're watching like the action in reflected windows and like random first person shots and like the fisheye spy hole shots indoors, and it's like also like the use of handheld cameras almost adds this kind of intensity in some moments. Like it's literally like zooming up to people's faces, and I think it adds like a cool little energy to the scenes. But I feel like this film as a whole, it is a bit slow. It's like it just takes ages to get to any exploration of what is actually going on, and a hell of a lot of not believing what's going on. It's like, just get to the point. It's like, we don't care about you not believing it. Just show us, especially for being so long. And it's like, you know, but it's got a fun little ending though. I enjoy the ending, but it was also spoiled.
Yeah,
because
it's spoiled.
As soon as I realised that it's Sutherland, that gape mouth Sutherland, I was like, oh,
I know.
This is the ending.
It was almost a bit ridiculous as well. I kind of laughed at first. It was just so like.
Have you not seen that shot before, Adam?
It's a meme
film
all over Twitter, Adam.
Okay, maybe I have, but didn't know it was.
Same as you, Paul. Like halfway through the film, I was suddenly like, "Oh, that's what this is. I know what's going to happen now."
Yeah, in one sense, do you know when he's in his apartment and then he's getting like turned and they're all like the fetuses are coming out? I was like, oh, okay, this would be good if maybe it happens now, because then at least it's not the ending. Mm-hmm. But I was like, oh no, it's the ending. But it was fun. It was fun nonetheless. Yeah, I got some out of it, and most of it comes from the practical effects. I feel like the story in general, it needs a lot cut out to make it more exciting for me.
Where do you go? I think we're all largely aligned.
Yeah, we all seem to be out of them. Like, I've just looked on Letterboxd, no one gives it below an 8 on my thing.
That's what I mean. People are real huge fans of it. One thing I'm going to say is maybe it's because a lot of these people watched it when they were younger. They were introduced to it much earlier in life. Like, I'm thinking about another film from 1978. We already mentioned it, but I'm going to bring it up. Halloween. If I had never seen Halloween and I watched Halloween for the first time now, I am positive that I would not be so in love with it, and I would go, oh, it's just it takes a long time to get to the slasher points, and I don't understand why we're following these girls having these conversations for so long. It's not very interesting.
I could agree with that statement actually, because when I first watched Halloween, I obviously liked it, but I was never blown away as much as everyone else loved it. But it's really grown on me over time because the amount of times I've watched it now, and that's why I love it now. It's been a grower over time rather than just something I watched and loved.
I reckon this film could have the same effect as well. If you were, I was thinking halfway through the film, because Jamie gave it to us. Jamie sent it to us, and as always, when Jamie sends us a film, it's not, and not to dismiss anyone else, but when Jamie suggests a film, you know that okay, there's going to be stuff to talk about in this. This is going to be a serious bit of cinematic history, folklore. There's going to be stuff to talk about here. But halfway through the film, I was like, I'm liking this. But if I'm Jamie, why is this so high for me? And I'm thinking for Jamie,
Practical
this
effects.
is exactly the kind of film that he would be like, if that's on telly, I watch it all the way to the end. If it's on, I keep it on and watch it all the way to the end, like a Terminator 2 type experience. And the pluses are all the things that we've covered. The way that it's shot, the music, the sense of unease, the eeriness, the fear, the practical effects, it all is good, but it doesn't cross that threshold to top tier. And I'm going to say, coming back to your point, Adam, about how films are potentially likely to be in this 1978 round, it was trying to do a lot through dialogue at a time when films in the 70s, as you know, it was very choppy dialogue. Like, conversations were being had in the backgrounds of scenes, like in the bookshop. Exposition is being given in the bookshop, not by the main characters, people who are talking in the back. So you have to tune out what Donald Sutherland is saying.
Subtitles on.
Well, I was considering it, but I thought, nah, let me hold back. But it's true. They were talking in the background to give the exposition. It's like Taxi Driver. It is like Halloween as well. It's Robert Altman type filmmaking where lots of people are talking over one another. And for a film like this, a sci-fi film, you expect exposition to be given nice and easily, but it's actually being hidden and scattered amongst.
Do you reckon
bits
they're
of
all
dialogue.
added in and post? Like,
But some of it will have been, particularly back then, yeah, because they just didn't have the sound capabilities that we've got now. So they would have added a hell of a lot more. But I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing because it kind of makes it more uneasy. It's kind of more like, what is this thing that's come into our town? Like, why is nobody listening to me? What are those people over there saying? And to your point, Paul, about like the way things were shot, like very interestingly through mirrors and glass and windows and corridors and stuff. It was cool because
Like
it was almost
doubles.
like there's that one scene where early on she's with her husband and they go and fool around on the bed, or he's fooling around with her on the bed, but you
Static
don't
of the
see
corridor.
it. What you see is the plants through the window. So you're hearing their conversation, but you're looking through that window, which has plants behind it. Like, they are right there. This is
very
coming
interesting
over.
choices. Yeah,
And that
especially
shot-
like when you're just going around the city and you're constantly seeing like the city moving by in the windows, and you're seeing all the pedestrians, and you're almost looking at everyone thinking, "Oh, are you one?" Because you're standing a little bit weird, or you're acting a little bit weird. Whether or not they actually are, it could just be. It could have just been real people on the streets. They could have just been driving around.
Yes.
But there's a sense of unease that anyone could be taken over right now, and that kind of adds this slight intensity.
And see, now, this is where, to its credit, this is why this is a good film, because when I was seeing all this, I'm thinking, oh, this really reminds me of It Follows. But it's almost like It Follows has taken from this. It Follows has seen that and gone, that's an interesting concept, we'll use that. Where people are just there in backgrounds and you're like, is that person changed? Well, that belongs to Invasion of the Body Snatchers. They did it first. So technically, they are setting the blueprint. So it needs its flowers for that.
But it cuts out all the slowness of the film and working out what's going on. And even to like when you get to the end, it's like, okay, I've kind of worked out what's going on now. Halfway through, I was like, where are the bodies going? And we don't get that until the end, because I thought it would be a really cool concept if the bodies were the ones going into the trash compactors.
They were.
I don't think they were.
Yeah,
Wasn't that just all the
because-
mould?
Now look at her husband, Jeffrey. He takes the bin out twice and it's all dusty. He's taking out his body. So when he first goes out to the bin man in the morning and empties that stuff out, that's his dusty body. That's his collapsed dust body being disposed
Wasn't that just the
with.
pod?
I don't suppose we know what happens to the pod afterwards.
That's what I couldn't work out, because I wanted to see a body totally disintegrate. You see her like disintegrate in his arms, and then he kind of screams out,
Yeah.
where she kind of just like dehydrates kind of thing. But you never see her all wispy, looking like the stuff's in the back of the truck.
I guess maybe it's both though. Maybe it's both the pod and the body, because I would
Maybe.
definitely say that was the dusty bodies that were going in the back of the garbage cans, because those garbage men were 100% just being like, we're disposing of all
Yeah,
this
of course.
shit. Because otherwise everyone at home would have like these mounds of dust being like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
this?
I thought that was a very interesting concept, though, because you're constantly seeing all this dusty stuff through the street. They don't even mention it, and it's just hanging out of bins and like just sitting somewhere on the street. And it's like, okay, it's happening all around you. You're just not opening your eyes right now. They're too concerned with working out what's going on rather than actually tackling the situation.
Yes,
and I think that's half the battle. That was half the battle with this film, because give me the story, give me what's going on, give me and you're absolutely right. It's the why. Where's the link to the real world? What's going to make me feel something that's going to connect me to the story? Where it's just, we're just going to take over all of you guys. We're more efficient and we don't get sucked up in love.
Yeah. I mean, there is something about it. It lends itself, just like the Romero zombie films. You could release Invasion of the Body Snatchers almost every single decade and just make it reflect the fears of the time.
About something. Yeah.
Like now you could 100% do it about COVID, although it'd be a bit different. But they just didn't quite manage to get it for me. Or maybe it's just lost on me as like someone from England and not someone from San Francisco. Like San Francisco is a cool place. It's a vibrant place. Lots of personality, lots of eccentric characters and whatnot. So I guess you could say, the pod people came there and they removed their personality because at the time, late 70s, the way America was going, it felt like all those eccentric personalities were getting swallowed up. But swallowed up by what? What I think, and again, it just didn't explain it well enough for me, or it didn't give me enough to go on. They specifically use Leonard Nimoy's psychiatrist character as the villain of the piece in a way. Because he is constantly explaining away, no, relationships need work and you think this way about your husband, but he's thinking this, blah, blah, blah. It's almost critical of psychiatry. And maybe it was a case of like late 70s America. I'm sure people weren't going to therapists quite as much as they like therapy and seeking help is much more common now. Whereas back then, maybe it was seen as brain control. Like, no, you're not going to tell me how I feel. I express myself through my ways and that's it. So maybe it was kind of a psychiatry is numbing us to our real selves. But if it was that, it wasn't telegraphed very well.
Yeah, didn't.
Do you reckon there was a thing of like they didn't actually say it because they didn't want to say it, and then that means, like you said, every decade you could keep making this. And then people can add their own assumptions to it.
Well, it certainly keeps it a bit more timeless. So if you don't say it, you open up those. See,
the only link I really make is I think they make a point at the end of showing everyone at their job working, doing what they were doing before. So the world's almost carrying on, but without like their personalities and their own lives have been sucked away from them. So they're just literally solely carrying on. And I think that's just like the corporate world sucking everyone in and not really allowing you to have your own life. You have to keep working to survive. You can't actually do what you want to do. That's the only link I can make. But it's almost so like, well, I don't care about that message.
No, we all know that. We all know that. But then again, like in the 70s, was that the case? Like, I can't imagine there were a lot of films before that talking about being slaves to capitalism and the meaningless void of turning up to a 9-to-5, blah blah blah. All
I
the
thought
time.
it was more of like the government were poisoning people with something. Whether like you said, it was capitalism. I thought it was something more of like, I don't know, something in the water supply or like something in your food, like chemicals or that kind of stuff. That's what I kind of assumed that they were hinting at.
Like you say, maybe it is just so that it can be a bit more timeless. It can be anything. By not intentionally naming it, that's good. That's fine. I don't need you to specifically say this is what it's about, but I needed a few more strands to go on to be able to definitively say, this is clearly what this is about. Like something as simple as him getting shot at the end of Night of the Living Dead by a posse of white men. Bang. Okay, now I understand what this film is about, right in the last moment. But that moment is missing from this. The moment the zombies descending en masse to a shopping mall, walking into shops, it's on the nose, but okay, I understand what you're saying. Where was that moment in this film? That's what I wanted.
I think the moment for them was them all at work at the end, and you just see her. She's sitting there, and like the test tube swirling. She's just unemotionless, just carrying on doing it.
Yeah.
He's in his office, and he walks out, follows the line. It's all. Everyone is in like a structure that's being controlled. And it's all very corporate. That's the only.
I guess it is capitalism, really, isn't it? That is what they're going for.
And falling into the government's way of making
It's
sure
like the way they were
everyone's turning up for
talking
work.
is not like they're like that whole shit. It's like
Because they were all instructing. There was all army out on the streets telling people what to do at all times.
Yeah.
And they had to be following lines and stuff like that.
And that is the definition of body snatching. It's taking you, this beautiful entity that is capable of so much and could do so much, and saying, no, we are putting you into this position. You are a dustman. You turn up and do this every day. You are an office drone. You turn up and do this every day. And the whole thing of removing emotion, of course, that goes hand in hand with work as well. We don't need your thoughts or feelings on the matter. You don't need to feel happy or sad. You just need to turn up and work and do a thing.
Do the job.
But then, so here's a flip side to everything. Or it comes back to the Leonard Nimoy character, right? He's a villain. He's a bad guy. Yeah?
Only when he turns, right? Because you're saying, like, he agrees at one point and says, I know this is happening.
Yeah, but he's already turned. He's giving Donald Sutherland the bullshit, because immediately when he leaves that conversation, he gets in the car and he says, the sooner the better. So he's just bullshitting the whole way. This is what I believe, right? I don't think he's a pod person. I think they've come down and he has decided, yes, this would be a better society. We remove emotion. We remove fear. We remove anxiety. That would be a better society.
He will not have a job anymore.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. but he's kind of like, he's taken psychology to the extreme then, hasn't he? Where, like, if his job as a psychiatrist, if that's what he was, I think he was a psychiatrist, he was definitely into psychology. If his job is to help people, cure people, stop people feeling sad, lonely, anxious, then take that to the extreme, it's remove all of that from people. It's like a Bond master villain type thing. Like, I don't want a world with pain, so I'm going to pull everyone's nerves system out.
Yeah.
That's very true, yeah. So you think he wasn't even turned at that point?
I don't think he was turned, because he seemed to have more personality than any of the others. Like, when they were pods, they would just say their lines, say their words, and do their thing. But he was showing personality, and once or twice,
he was almost leading them.
He was, and he sounded frantic at times, and look at the way he screamed when he was in the freezer. When you couldn't hear him scream, he was screaming. He was like, no.
That's true, yeah. Rather than the, what is it, the pig squeal?
Yes, rather than the pig squeal.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And now, hang on, how about this? Like, kind of what you were saying there, Paul, has scuppered what I was thinking, so maybe this doesn't make sense. Because you're right, they were all doing their routine at the end. But there is one thing that maybe means Donald Sutherland is faking it at the end. And it's, well, first of all, we never see him get turned.
We don't. We just know that he has to fall asleep at some point.
That's right. But we see him snipping the newspaper article out, which is something we saw him do early on in the film, which was just for himself. Yeah. Not just for himself, not for his job, just for himself.
Yeah.
And he does that. And they specifically show us him doing that. It's a choice to show us that before he then goes and does everything else.
But so also at the same time, they said, oh, all your memories are transferred, so you're the same person, you just don't have personality.
Yeah. Shame.
I think it's a bit vague about what it actually is doing to you. You just don't.
Well, it's just like multiplicity.
Have emotions. Yeah,
it's like multiplicity. Yeah. They just fell out of love with their wife, even though they have all the memories of their entire time with her and their kids.
It's true. Your emotional synapses are not firing when you're the clone.
No, they're not.
I know, this is the thing, yeah, it just needed a little something, didn't it, to like tie everything together and make you kind of see the bigger picture.
Just the bigger picture. But then there were plenty of enjoyable elements along the way. I think largely I did enjoy the first act. I'll tell you what I enjoyed the most was everything up until the pods on the roof. I was really enjoying all of that. The last half hour, it turned into a kind of like a running, chasing thing, which I didn't like. That was a waste for me. We spent far too long doing that.
What is Adam? What
Adam's decided he's not doing the podcast. It didn't take long. At first, Adam was like, "Oh, I'm enjoying coming back for the podcast," and now he's given up.
I'm just thinking about pods on the roof. We're the pods on the roof.
Well, Paul McCartney was big in '78. Adam doesn't even get the reference. He's the one singing the song, and he doesn't even get the reference.
Well, you're doing to say to that.
Band on the Run is what you were doing, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I know
there you
that.
go. So acknowledge
I don't
it.
need to. Well done, Ben.
I don't need well done. I need you to go, "Oh, are you saying that because of?" And I would say yes.
Well, I
Adam,
think that was very
rather than
heavily implied,
silence.
and everyone got that from the beginning.
You're a fucking pod, mate. You're a pod.
He's definitely a pod.
He is. I liked all the stuff in the baths. I like Jeff Goldblum and his wife's baths.
Man, they were grotty. Who's going to that place?
But see,
Just
like,
sitting in mud. It looks like a warehouse.
yeah, it was horrible, and those curtains, and also like, man's lying in mud, getting out, and then you're going to go and line that man's mud. He was naked in it, and you're
He
going to
couldn't
go
even
and
get
line
out.
it. No, I know. But there was
There was something
idea,
interesting
right?
in there. There was something interesting there as well that they didn't explore. At one point, Jeff Goldblum is reaching into the mud. He said, "There's something in here," and then they just don't show you.
Oh yeah. What
You remember
was
he
in
said
there?
that he said there's something. He actually said there's something in here,
Yeah, he did.
and they didn't get anything out. I was thinking, oh, this is where we're going to see the body.
Oh,
One
do
of
you
the
know
bodies.
what that was probably is the pod, because the man who got out at that point, wasn't he a pod person at that point?
Yeah, the one who was reading the book.
Yeah.
I imagine. Yeah,
So he'd left his little scummy pod in the mud.
because she pushed him out the door. He didn't get a chance to go collect it. But why
And then
wouldn't he have got the pod out? Why did he say there's something in here that's not got it out?
He was distracted by his nosebleed.
Maybe.
I liked that element where he was falling asleep and his pod copy opened the eyes. That was like, shit. Seeing the connection between the two was interesting.
See, that's the thing. So it is almost like your conscious has gone over,
Yeah.
hasn't it, to the other body. So it is your soul in a way that's gone and transferred over. So it is you,
Yeah.
but you just don't have that emotional connection. I think it's a very good ending. I kind of wish I hadn't seen the that GIF
Yeah, so do I. But at the
because that
same
would have been a
time,
great one.
it was kind of
It's still delivered.
haunting. It's kind of eerie to know that he's going to be turned as well. Like knowing that was going to happen.
It's almost like Blade Runner now, isn't it? Like you kind of know it. You know the ending enough that when you watch it, you kind of watch it with that in mind, and like Fight Club and all that kind of stuff. If you did know that,
They
which is
stand
maybe
up.
why it might stand up again on a second
Yeah.
watch. I don't know. You might notice things along the way. You might, yeah.
That's true.
Jeff Goldblum was looking very peculiar. He's very young,
Very young, isn't he?
very lanky in this.
Yeah, yeah. Not as like full on Goldblum energy either. It's like it's there.
A very early Goldblum, wasn't
Yeah.
it? I
Yeah,
felt.
it's a different
Yeah.
kind. In many ways,
didn't-
it
it
was an
almost hadn't worked
unpleasant
out yet.
Goldblum. He was kind of an arsehole.
He was.
He was a bit self-obsessed and a bit of an arsehole.
Well, that's the. I think that Goldblum is kind of that is his personality, but it's whether the charm's there or not, and maybe the charm didn't cross over in this.
I love Jeff.
I love Jeff. My name's Jeff.
My name's Jeff.
It did have some wonderful practical effects in this, though, like the
It
whole
did.
fetus-looking thing. Was that a real person? Was it an actual effect?
Yeah,
when
it's
it's actually
brilliant.
like writhing coming out of that pod. The pods look great. It looked,
And
they look
super
gross.
impressive that they panned the camera up from what was clearly Donald Sutherland in that pod and then panned up his hand to see him lying there falling asleep.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I was thinking.
'cause it
Is this
didn't
actually a
seem-
practical effect?
I mean, it didn't
Like,
seem like
wasn't
a
a person.
puppet though, did it? It
No.
obviously it was looking odd, but it did seem like Donald Sutherland was playing that pod version towards the end.
Yeah, especially when he was actually getting all his features. But more like when he's coming out of the pod, I don't know if it looks like anything.
Oh yeah, that was all horrible baby face.
Yeah, gross.
Those nasty little flowers that were squirting out blood sometimes. Liquid.
Yeah, it was this kind of like human mixed with plants, and it's like this very like unworldly looking thing. It was very nasty looking.
It was a clever thing because basically the whole premise is an alien species are like, we're dying out, we need to thrive. These humans are fucking miserable. Let's just have them. But bring them over to us as well. And go down as a sweet flower. Go down and smell sweet.
Is this kind of another thing you can link it to? The fact that it is plant life mixing with humans who have their own kind of identities, whereas plants basically are there and they do a job and they reproduce themselves and that's it. They don't really have a personality.
That is it, isn't it? They need water. Yeah. Leonard Nimoy kept trying to give them water. Plants need water.
That's a little link I guess we can make. Yeah,
it's a link. Maybe this film was a message on the dangers of drugs. They're saying don't smoke that marijuana leaf. It will change your brain.
It'll turn you into a plant.
Turn you into a plant.
Plants versus zombies.
Exactly like, that, Adam.
It reminded me at the end of like Pineapple Express though, when they were like blowing up the warehouse, or they were like in that warehouse thing with all the pods up.
Don't get that reference.
Pineapple Express. This is why Adam's here, to make those kind of references. Wonderful stuff.
I'm going to say that there is a better version of this film, which I highly recommend you both check out. And I'm sure I'd be stunned if Jamie hasn't seen it. And it's called The Stuff. And it's from like the 80s.
Stuff.
Yeah.
I have heard of that film. I bet it's on my watch list already.
It's called Flubber.
And it's like a yogurt or an ice cream, I can't quite remember, but it's known as The Stuff, and it's being sold to people relentlessly through magazines, through adverts, through TV shows and whatnot, and the people eat it and they become like these creatures. But they melt away and they become like these brainless, conditioned people who are like, it's all about the stuff, and it's much more fun. It has that message of consumerism.
Yeah, I was about to say the consumerism.
Yeah, it's super on the nose, but it's very enjoyable all the way through. It's not very scary, is the thing, but it has very good practical effects. Whereas this one is going for fear and relating some of the paranoia that was going around at the time. Because even if they didn't put their finger on it, a lot of films in the 70s were about people being paranoid and worried. Like that just felt like that's the way the world was going at that point. Watergate had taken place, I guess, and people were like now worried about
being monitored.
Yes, the conversation and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I liked all of the practical effects in this, apart from that fucking dog with the human mask.
I know. What? So jarring.
At this time, though, that must have been like madness.
I don't think it even did at that time. I don't think.
Yeah. When was the thing? The thing was like the 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 1980.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
See,
it was
even
a dog
the thing
wearing a
was
mask.
borrowing from this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I wish they did a bit more of not knowing if someone was a creature kind of thing. Or someone was a clone.
I agree.
They didn't do any of that. It was just, if you were, you were. They just knew.
Well, there was a period of time they did it, hinted at it once or twice when they encounter Nancy in the staircase when they've trapped Leonard Nimoy and they run down and they suddenly encounter her. For a minute there or 2 minutes, there's that sort of "are you, aren't you" kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then it's quite clear that she isn't. But Jeff Goldblum, I was suspicious of from the moment his double opened the eyes. I was like, oh, but has something transferred now? Is he who he is? But he was. He got a dart in the neck is what he got for his troubles.
He did. Straight in the neck.
That dog, I was thinking, right, it was like a perfect, in a way, completely unintentionally on its part, it was a perfect precursor to what AI is now. Because it looked like shit, because the pod couldn't understand that there was a human and a dog, so it tried to merge them both, and it looked like shit. And that is like how crude, crass AI is when you go, show me a man dog, and it does those crappy, blurry, fucked up
and
pictures.
it's all like all the lines are blurred, and it's like you can't read.
See, you could do it now. If you did Invasion of the Body Snatchers, you would make it about AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, face jacking.
I was thinking about if you tried to do it with COVID, and because you could, it's like some people could say, oh, this is like COVID, like everyone just become compliant, go and get your vaccine and whatnot, and just do what the government tells you. But the difference is that in this film, it's the people who are saying there isn't a problem that were complying. The people who are saying there is a problem are the ones who are being ignored. So it wouldn't work for COVID.
Yeah, it's true. It's certainly one of those ones that you can just kind of try and... Adam's right, yeah, like different decades can mean different things.
Yeah.
And because it is so vague, you can kind of make your own links.
The more you think
don't
about it,
know.
though, it definitely is about capitalism. Yawning them.
Yeah, I think that is the absolute certainty from me. That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah. But then we why do we spend so much time with this one guy who is a psychiatrist, and they make him the crux of the matter? They make him the one who's kind of like the voice talking about losing fear and anxiety and whatnot.
It kind of goes hand in hand with being unemotionless and just being a drone.
I feel like they were trying to say something about the changing attitudes of Americans from being free-spirited to going under the guise of pop psychology and that kind of shit, but they just didn't go there enough. And then you fall back on, oh, it must be about jobs then, which I agree, it probably is in a way, but we don't see enough job analogies all the way through for it to feel like it's that.
I think it only put the nails in the head with that end scene where they're all just working, like they're just carrying on working like nothing's happened.
Yeah.
It's like, why would they be doing the same jobs? It's like they've taken the person who was a fully fledged person with their own personality doing the job and just put them back without their own kind of urgency kind of thing.
Mate, do you know, honestly, one of the hardest fucking things must be just stay awake. Like the Freddy Krueger thing.
Yeah.
Just stay awake. You just don't fall asleep. It's like, fuck off, I'm going to fall asleep.
Didn't they take five speed tablets? Jesus.
Yeah, man. That was definitely not in the 1956 version, I'll tell you. And that allowed them to survive the attack, I guess, because the speed was in their system. They were ready to fight like a fucking bull.
Yeah, kept them going. But as soon as they got on that lorry, it looked like they were about to fall asleep. It's almost like it counteracted it finally.
There were a couple of cutie pies. They gave a little kiss at one point.
Unnecessary?
Yes, but from very early on, there was flirtation between them.
Yeah, of course. You could see
very
it
early on.
Yeah. It was sad when she went.
It was sad, but it was good to see the effect of her just
that's
hollowing
what I
out
wanted.
like that.
All I wanted was that, yeah. I wanted to see it happen. You could see like it looked like PVA glue on everyone's faces. That's what you were getting for most of it.
They held all them peeling lips and shit.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty good. Like just this like dehydrating. That's the only way I can describe it.
Yes, exactly.
All the water being sucked out of them.
Oh, mate, do you know what actually was the most unnerving moment in the whole of it? I've just remembered it now. The most unnerving moment is when he goes to the Chinese dry cleaners and the man is like, "That's not my wife."
Yeah.
And he's like, "What do you mean? I'm not a doctor. I'm a health inspector." He's like, "I know, but that is not my wife." It's like, oh fuck, that's horrible. Just the wording of it, and for him to have heard that not only from his friend, his colleague, but now this dry cleaner as well, that's unnerving.
That was the moment really when he realised, wasn't it? He needed the multiple bits of evidence. Yeah.
I don't know what he was thinking at the end. That's why I didn't really like the ending so much, because when he goes into that place and starts chopping down the beams and stuff, what the fuck was he actually thinking? Like, he had no way of knowing that by those things dropping, fires were going to just start and it would burn out those husks. He was just
I think it's
mental at that point.
Someone desperately trying to like topple
Society.
the society and the government, basically. And it's like you're not going to be able to do anything. It's basically the whole country's like this now. So what are you going to do? One man.
Yeah.
Bit of a statement in itself.
Well, I'm ready to see what the rest of 78 brings, because I feel like this could be a year that is going to link up thematically very well.
Well, we shall see. I wonder what my pick is. We'll see if
that's true.
that
It's
leads
definitely
into
not going to
something.
be, is it? Paul's the only one.
I don't know. Who knows? I haven't seen it, so it could be anything.
Oh, one last thing. The no music over the credits. I like that very much, because it's like now all soul is
Haunting.
gone. All
Yeah,
humanity is now gone.
Yeah.
Like even
You were
those
just-
bagpipes were calling to him. He's like, oh, that
You're
means
just
humanity.
left with that scene of him screaming as well. It's just like, that is it.
Yeah.
That's where it ends. That is your last thought in the film.
It's very strong ending.
Yeah, very. Very good ending.
He has that same hair and moustache that he has in Don't Look Now, though. It's
Yeah,
such
he
a.
does.
Can
Same
you imagine
person.
walking around looking like that? Fucking
That was a
kids,
look,
the
mate.
new generation try and look like that now. They go out of their way to try and look like that with their
Oh, it
stupid
looks
fucking
gross now, doesn't it?
moustaches. These kids
Horrible.
don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Adam's the one with the moustache.
What?
You moustachioed, man.
I did it for a little bit, but I still had the beard. It was just a longer moustache. I got rid of it now.
I tell you what, the younger generation do now. That's a fucking ridiculous look. Is they don't wear trainer socks. They wear socks when they're wearing shorts.
I wear
works.
socks. I've got funky socks.
Trainer socks, I don't know. They're a bit weird.
Yeah, exactly. You would say that because you're this new generation. Trainer socks. You wear trainers with trainer socks. Wearing these fucking socks that you pull up halfway through your calf while in shorts is. What are you?
literally wearing shorts right now with some
Jewish old
socks.
man in your retirement home in Florida.
Yeah.
I also have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle socks on, and I'm wearing trainers with shorts on.
I've got shorts on and I've got some night sports socks on.
How are you two wearing shorts today? Fuck's sake! I forget this every year that you two go mental with the shorts at this
Floodgates
time.
are open,
warm.
mate. Floodgates are open.
No,
Once the shorts come out, they stay out.
I wore shorts on Saturday daytime. That's the first shorts that I've worn all year.
Yeah, Saturday was the first. Actually, no, last week I wore them to the gym, but that doesn't really count.
You fucking pod people, man.
Saturday and Sunday I wore them out.
In all honesty, I got to the front door, saw it was raining, and I was fully dressed. And I was like, "Fuck's sake!" And it was like 6:30 in the morning. I was like, "I'm not going to put jeans on."
You need to
'Cause it
put them
means
hairy
stepping-
legs away.
It means stepping over my family who are sleeping in the bed. I literally have to walk over the bed to get my jeans.
Well, now your legs are all wet. See.
They're not wet. I'm very hot in this room. I'm glad I've got shorts on. Let's rate this film.
All right, thanks. So say we all, Leonard Nimoy.
Adam, you first.
That wasn't Leonard Nimoy. That was fucking Edward James Olmos from
It
Battlestar
was.
Galactica. You didn't correct me, Paul.
I didn't.
So say we all.
I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
I'm also giving it a 7 out of 10.
I also giving it 7 out of 10. Are we the pod people?
I feel like we
the pod
spoke
people.
badly on it, but we've also given it a respectable score.
Yeah, I think all we were doing is saying this is what would elevate it.
Yeah. And I think, again, it's a film that because everyone loves it, you're like, oh, am I missing something? And that's why I kind of want to go back on it, because I could kind of see where. But now also talking to you guys about it, I feel like I'm clear on where I am.
Well, hey, why don't we go and if one patron in the future wants to send us back to 1956, you can give us the original one and we can talk about that.
Oh, yeah. See which is better. I want to see him
Anyway.
running through the streets.
There you go. I wonder if he's meant to be the same character, like just years later, still running, going, yeah, and he's just been demented for 20 years.
I hope so.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I like that kind of shit.
That would mean he had more staying power than fucking Donald Sutherland, who couldn't survive a couple of
exactly.
nights. Donald Sutherland ain't turning up in a remake 20 years later, doing a pig squeal. I would say shave that moustache off if you're trying to be intimidating, mate.
Gross.
Horrible moustache. All right, well, 777 means it averages a 7, but do we get a score from Jamie on this or not? I can't remember.
Yes, we do. We do. I can give you his review. I've got it.
Oh, right.
He sent it over to us, and he says, a fantastic slice of 70s paranoia that slowly ratchets up its sense of the uncanny until that grandstanding third act and a truly unnerving, iconic ending. It undoubtedly reflects its period of production, as most horror films do, and in 1978 it was all about disenchantment in America. The free love movement was dead, and the idealistic politics that went with it, replaced with cynical and alienating big city capitalist emptiness, with sinister pod people silently infiltrating San Francisco with some still fantastic practical effects. This alienated feeling is amplified, resulting in a narrative that is less about the science and more the social. Can't wait for your views. It's a big fat 10 from me.
Well, we were right in what we were saying then. We agree with Jamie in what we were saying.
He just agrees with it a little bit better.
Well, I'm very glad
Sounds
that this is very on brand for Jamie, because Jamie loves The Fly, he loves The Blob, he loves The Thing.
Practical
and
effects,
this.
mate.
Well, it's that
It's
that sci-fi thing. It's
that eerie sci-fi.
He didn't even mention practical effects in there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
He goes for that feel. He goes for that feel, doesn't he?
For sure.
Very on brand for Jamie. So a 10 to skew our 7s. He is the one that needs to be converted. He's not a pod person. So that's a 7.75 average. So then, boys, better or worse than Beautiful Thing? It's better than Beautiful Thing.
Yeah, better than Beautiful Thing.
Okay. The Five Bloods.
I think I probably gave the Five Bloods a higher score, but I feel like over time I haven't. That film, I don't know.
Yeah, you gave Five Bloods an 8, Adam. You gave Five Bloods
A 7.
What did I? And I gave Five Bloods a
7.
Oh,
That's a hard one.
that is very hard, because I like them equally for very different reasons. Let's have a look at the next film up just to see.
Scream.
Okay. Scream. That's fucking hard as well.
I'll commit. I'll say Five Bloods better.
All right, I'm going Five Bloods is better too.
Yeah.
The fact
Just
that
stick it
Five
there.
Bloods was seen 4 years ago and we're still saying, oh, it might be better, means it should.
Yeah.
That's held out for 5 minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, there
Well,
we
there
go.
you go. That's where it sits. Below the Five Bloods and above Beautiful Thing.
And that is a beautiful thing.
7.75.
That's
That is a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. Thing.
Well, Jamie, I hope you enjoyed that. All things considered, that is one of our highest rated films that isn't an 8, thanks to your 10.
What are you saying?
On our top line, on our overall table, The Hunger is an 8, and everything above that is an 8, and this is just 3 below being an 8.
Okay, right.
There's like
Jamie's
100
not
films.
going to be able to get his head around that.
I know. Well, there's like 100 films below it, Jamie, basically, is what we're saying. It's in the top.
It's in the middle table.
It's in the middle to
Yeah.
top, yeah. It's
It's
nearly
doing well.
Champions League position. It's playing for Europe. It's not playing in the Champions League just yet, but it could get there.
I mean,
there you go.
Unless one of us gives it a massive rewatch.
Well, that is possible. And you know what? I feel like this is the kind of film that when someone comes on and guesses and can give a score, would be like, how have you rated that so low? That's going up. So it's got a chance. It's got a chance.
Sean Pounder Nicholson, for sure. He would do that,
Yeah, he would.
I think.
The last film Jamie came to us with was Aliens, and that one went straight in our all-time number 7. So he's done pretty well.
He's done very well. Yeah, absolutely. Well, very good. You want to know what we're doing next?
Yeah, I can't
Yes.
wait. Let's see.
Okay, none of us have seen this film.
Great.
It's streaming on Prime, everyone. So, easy to watch. It is from 1978. It also, in some way, inspired a film that is very lauded and people love. But it's got an E in it compared to this one, which has got an A in it.
What?
It's Inglourious Bastards from 1978.
Oh, shit.
I don't even
Is
know
it-
what that
is it-
is.
The
Is it the
Inglourious
same film?
Bastards. No, it's not, I don't think. I don't know how it links, but we're going to find out.
Okay.
I don't even know. I've heard of it, but I don't know what it's about. I don't know anything about it. I don't even know if it's a war film.
I think it's a war film.
It's a war film. I'll be watching that one by myself.
It's a war film.
Jenny ain't going to come on board
I
for
think
that
it's
one.
it's an action. It's like an action war. I think it's like a group of people going after Nazis, something like that.
Okay. I'll be on the side of the Nazis.
But yes, Inglourious Bastards. That's the Quentin one. This is Bastards with an A.
Okay.
Okay. Inglourious
And that's
Bastards.
what we're
Well,
watching.
I'm not going to find out anything about it. I'm just going to turn it on and watch it.
Absolutely. It's on
Good
Prime,
stuff.
everyone.
Good stuff. Inglourious Bastards.
Inglorious.
In bloody glorious. Right, should we find out what our patrons have to say this week?
Yeah.
Right, so our patrons, they tell us what they've been watching, the good and the bad, and we speak about it and tell you whether we agree. First of all, we've got Luke, and he says, the best! 2023's Australian black comedy sci-fi Time Addicts. The premise of a couple of drug-dependent scallywags. He said scallywags! That's the second time that's come up in this episode. Come into possession of crystal that causes time travel. Wait, I just messed up that sentence because now I don't. Because I started speaking about scallywags. The premise of a couple of drug-dependent scallywags coming into possession of a crystal that causes time travel is good enough, but Time Addicts delivers so much more than the sort of high jinks you may expect from such shallow fare as Hot Tub Time Machine, etc. Grounds and Tingley's performances may not work for all audiences, but their fairly accurate representation of the subculture is necessary for us to find the tone here. There's some sly comedy and some genuine tension that belies the philosophical and interpersonal conundrums that this presents. We're not in totally new territory here, but this is original and clever, enough to work on a number of levels. 8 out of 10. Never heard of it. Time Addicts. I love a time machine.
Addicts.
A time machine kind of film, so that sounds up my alley, to be honest.
Oh.
And scallywags as well. I mean,
Scallywags.
Wonderful.
You little scallywags.
yeah, absolutely.
Is that an English term or a pirate term?
Pirate.
Both.
Yeah, both. Scalag and Wag blended as Scottish farm labourers ventured stateside and joined early trade unions. They were known as scallywags.
Oh, right.
There you go.
That's where it comes from. So Scotland?
Scottish American.
Scottish American. Okay. There you go. Learn something new every day.
Person, especially a child who behaves badly but not in a serious way.
Little scallywag.
That's Adam.
Yes, definitely is. He says the bad 2023's French horror Infested, what had the potential to be an updated hybrid of Arachnophobia, Wreck and Attack of the Block fails miserably to capitalise on its premise. The leap of logic we expected to take is too great for either the horror or the social commentary to be honoured. There are brief flashes of visual brilliance, but almost none of the tension required to get the adrenaline pumping. Suspense is sacrificed for frenetically presented action, which is shot too messily to be cohesive. Sad to think that with very few changes, this could have been a standout in the animal attack subgenre. The most disappointed I've been in a film for a long time. 4 out of 10.
Ooh.
There we go. Infested. Don't watch it.
I won't. Okay. Sean says, hello, you beautiful bastards. Another bastard joke.
Oh, look. Another bastard joke.
Funny. I hope life is treating you well. The good. I rewatched Moonlight and I think it's such a gorgeous, touching, modern masterpiece, but I don't need to tell you that. 10 out of 10. Certainly don't, Sean. We love it over here on this podcast. It's a high rater. The worst. 1999 Stigmata. Can't remember if I've seen it. What the hell was that all about? The film was only 97 minutes long, but felt like 6 hours. The basic structure was 20 minutes of priest chatting, and then 10 minutes of Patricia Arquette getting violated, and then 20 minutes of priest chatting, and then 10 minutes of Patricia Arquette getting violated. And then...
Oh, God.
Well, you get the picture. The music is awful. I saw that it was done by Billy Corgan of Smashing Pumpkins, but I don't know what he was thinking. Anyway, it's not all bad, but it's mostly bad. Lots of love. You guys make the good things about life great, so keep it up. Isn't he so sweet?
Oh, you cutie.
Too
Thank
sweet.
you, Sean. Never watch Stigmata. That sounds horrendous.
Yeah, it does. Watch Frailty, which sounds like it, and that's very good.
There you go. There's the recommendation right there.
Right, next up we have Jamie, who is the king of this year. He said The Holdovers. I don't think I've ever rented a film, stopped watching it halfway through because I was enjoying it so much, and then proceeded to buy it as I knew that I would want to watch it again and again many times over. Wow.
That is a statement.
Let's just say that Payne and Giamatti were made for each other, and the teacher and me absolutely loved it. I'm not going to say any more than that. Possibly my favourite film of the year so far.
I really need to see that film.
Everyone's loving it.
I know.
Everyone is loving it.
I know. The only thing I think of watching it, and then it would just be annoyed that Cillian Murphy won over him, but who knows?
Who gives a fuck about the Oscars?
He does give the fuck about the Oscars, but it's just nice for people to get plaudits, isn't it?
I don't give a fuck about the spoils.
Our plaudits mean more than the Oscars.
Exactly.
We need to do some awards at the end of the year. I think we should change our thing this year and make it our awards ceremonies for all the films we've done through the year.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think I've seen about 3 films from this year so far, and one of them's fucking Ricky Stenicki, so...
Dearie me.
It might change by the end of the year.
Hopefully.
True, it is that beginning, that time of the year when there's not really many of them out so far, isn't it?
Imagine stopping a film that you've rented to buy it.
That is big love.
I want to know. I was saying, fucking telling you I rent it. I treat myself and rent Blackberry. It's fucking came on Sky Movies like 2 weeks later.
Silly
That's
boy.
why you should never do
Pissed.
it.
You messed up.
But anyway, I got to see it and I'm happy.
And that was the end of our podcast.
That is the end of our podcast.
I have to be in Rome tomorrow for an audience with the Holy Father, if you can believe it. So I got to get packing.
What the fuck? Is he going to put the smoke out the chimney?
It's an audience with...
With who?
Pope Francis.
The Holy Father.
Pope Francis.
Yes.
It always gets a bit weird around this time of the podcast. He always starts to lose his mind.
What is the Pope at the moment?
A paedophile?
Apart from a paedophile. What's his name? I don't know. It's the one from the film, right?
Pope Jerry Maguire.
Benedict
Wong.
Benedict Wong.
Benedict Wong would make a great pope.
And that's the
BD Wong.
podcast, everyone. BD Wong.
Podcast. By BD Wong. BD Wong is in charge of the Vatican right now. He's taken over the Vatican with guns.
He's got those rosemary beads. The BD Wong.
And the next film will be called The Three Popes, and he will be holding the other 2 hostage. That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Deals Busters.